Jackie Chan. Actor, screenwriter, director, producer, stuntman, martial arts master, singer. Over 60 years in the film industry, he has managed to explore various roles and succeed in each. But behind the colossal commercial and audience success often escapes the fact that Jackie Chan is a full-fledged author, with his own poetics and visual language so influential that even those films in which he was not involved in directing one is tempted to habitually call Jackie Chan's films. After all, they all use characteristic jokes, images, and choreography that are unique to him. In this video essay, we won't be able to discuss all the films in which Jackie Chan participated, as there are over 100. However, let's try to examine the period of his career in Hong Kong, understand who influenced his style, how he directs action, and what makes his characters interesting.
Yes. Hello? Yes, this is Jackie speaking.
After Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan is the most famous filmmaker from Hong Kong, but not the only one. Hong Kong cinema gained global recognition with the emergence of Bruce Lee, a brutal and physically gifted fighter whose charisma left a lasting impression on audiences worldwide. His most popular films, such as The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and Return of the Dragon, introduced a new perspective on martial arts and cinema. While the mid-century Chinese film industry was dominated by the wuxia genre, blending fantasy elements with historical settings and spectacular battles. In the 1970s, with Bruce Lee's rising popularity, there was a trend towards realistic kung fu films addressing social issues. In the context of Jackie Chan's work, this is crucial because his films were a unique blend of the spectacularity of traditional wuxia and the realism of later kung fu movies. Although Bruce Lee's career was short-lived and significant success came to him only in the last years of his life, he became a cinematic icon. It's not surprising that after Bruce Lee's sudden death, Hong Kong producers quickly sought a replacement. Jackie Chan began his journey in cinema as a stuntman and bit part actor. For instance, he appeared in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, losing a fight to the film's star. Jackie was one of the suitable candidates to fill the void left by the martial arts legend. He even starred in the sequel to Fist of Fury, but the film was not successful. Jackie Chan truly found his footing with the film Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, where the director gave him significant creative freedom in terms of stunts and fight choreography. Following Drunken Master, Jackie Chan's next acting success made it clear that his talent wasn't just in nunchucks and fast strikes. Jackie didn't want to be a second Bruce Lee, and the character of the comical bumbler from Drunken Master, simultaneously an acknowledgement of love for the old-school kung fu and a mockery of it, was largely built on reinterpreting Bruce Lee's legacy.
When Bruce Lee kick high, I kick low. When Bruce Lee after punch, like this, I punch,
Unlike Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan's characters win, not through strength and confident technique, but through agility and cleverness. For Hong Kong cinema at that time, such an approach appeared revolutionary, like a true style reform. The problem was that producers doubted the talents of the former stuntman for a long time and were reluctant to invest in his experiments. At that moment, Jackie realized that he needed to take matters into his own hands and, like Bruce Lee, tried himself as a director in addition to being an actor. After all, nobody but Jackie Chan knew how to make films with Jackie Chan.
When some other people doing double, you will see boom, 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 like this.
Yeah.
When I do things, after the stunt, I would turn around, let the camera see, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
Director in the shadow of the actor. In the early 1980s, Jackie Chan made his debut in American cinema, but after facing failure, attempted to bring Hollywood's diversity of genres back to Hong Kong. Jackie's filmography includes police action films, his own version of Indiana Jones mixed with James Bond, and somewhat historical pictures. Moreover, all of them are invariably adorned with numerous comedic scenes, often overtly ambiguous. Jackie Chan's direction often inherits elements from Bruce Lee's films. Since Bruce moved quickly, filming him was challenging. A different visual language was needed to adequately convey the action without confusing the audience. Scenes with Jackie in combat were usually shot in wide shots, with characters in full view. Editing was done with the necessary minimum of cuts. For greater clarity and realism, Jackie also prefers wide-angle lenses and wide shots, and deep focus and often static cameras are used for the viewer to clearly see the arena of the fight and the showdown. For the same reason, there aren't many action scenes in his films during the dark hours or in poorly lit spaces. Actors in Jackie's films have to endure slightly longer takes, making the value of such performances somewhat higher. This fundamentally sets apart Jackie Chan's films from how action is filmed and edited in recent decades, when one movement corresponds to one cut, leading to a seemingly careless editing pattern.
I never move my camera. Always steady, wide angle. Let him see I jumping down, I do the flat, I do the fall, I do the running.
Jackie Chan's editing is more functional and follows the logic of the spectacle. Through cuts, either new information is conveyed to the audience, or the impact of the blows is intensified. However, such directing was characteristic not only of kung fu films with Bruce Lee, but also of silent comedies. Jackie doesn't hide that one of his main inspirations for his style are three American comedians: Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd, and Buster Keaton. In Project A, within one action scene, he pays homage to all three. Here's a reference to Chaplin's Modern Times. Here's the most famous shot with Harold Lloyd, and here's a fantastic fall in the style of Buster Keaton. For Jackie, like in silent comedies, directing works to make a dangerous stunt even more impressive and convincing. He's not afraid to appear absurd. His acting is excessive, and his facial expressions and movements look like they're from a cartoon, especially when it comes to falls and hits. Comedy is achieved through deliberately exaggerated sound design, which noticeably reduces the seriousness of what's happening. At the same time, a mandatory feature of his performance is the exaggerated demonstration of pain. This allows the audience to understand that the attacks inflict serious damage and the hero doesn't get anything easily. This shows a deep connection between comedy and empathy. The closeness of the audience to the hero in genre cinema is achieved mainly when the character finds himself in particularly difficult situations. Jackie Chan understands this well, so he intentionally credits unsuccessful takes in the credits and emphasizes that he performs his own stunts. Some of them almost ended tragically for the actor, so despite popular belief, he still uses stunt doubles, the so-called Jackie Chan Stuntman's Club, primarily in cases where, due to injury, he can't perform a complex stunt for the second time. Due to the director's perfectionism and significant creative control, sometimes many takes have to be done. The montage of production moments in the credits is also a clear gesture towards the audience, an assurance of the honesty of the work done. For the effectiveness of a particular scene, Jackie may use slow motion or disrupt the normal editing sequence, showing the same action from different angles, like in a sports broadcast. It's the show-stopping fight and chase scenes, rather than the plot or character development, that form the basis of almost all Jackie Chan's films. The story in them, unlike similar Hollywood films, often plays a purely auxiliary role. It merely formally connects several locations where action scenes unfold. According to the director himself, he first comes up with the scene, and only then finds a plot justification for it. The new hero. In Hollywood, prominent actors may reinvent themselves throughout their careers. However, in Hong Kong, the focus is not primarily on dramatic immersion into a role, but on spectacle. Therefore, genre films with predictable plots but rich visuals are highly popular. In this context, many actors can play similar characters in different films for decades. Jackie Chan's persona was not that of an invincible Superman for a long time, but an ordinary person in unusual circumstances, involuntarily becoming a hero. An immigrant, a cook, a salesman, hence the actor's filmography hardly includes negative characters. At one point, he even turned down an atypical role as an emperor in the film Hero, not wanting to deceive the expectations of his fans. Even when playing a police officer or an adventurer, inherently cool characters. There is always more humor and absurdity in his portrayal. In police stories, Jackie barely copes with simple tasks, and in Armor of God, he experiences a silly communication failure with jungle dwellers. In this sense, he is the ideal avatar for the audience. Someone who doesn't evoke frustration with their dazzling appearance but can ingeniously navigate even the most challenging situations. The prominence of fights in Jackie Chan's filmography is not coincidental. In Chinese tradition, a duel is not just a way to determine who is stronger, but a clash of worldviews and ways of life. Therefore, opponents are usually clearly opposed to the hero through their costumes or hairstyles. If enemies often turn out to be criminals or terrorists disrupting normal life, Jackie, for the audience, embodies the example of an ordinary citizen. He is kind, doesn't demand much from life, loves his work, doesn't boast of strength, but won't leave the innocent in distress. Thus, the actor dismantles the heroic pathos of old martial arts films on which he grew up. In his childhood, Jackie studied at the Peking Opera School, which combines acrobatics, music, and dance. In this regard, the choreography of fights in Chan's films picks up the aesthetics of Peking opera, turning a fight into a dance with an obvious musical rhythm. His technique may be less efficient than, say, Bruce Lee's style, but it is more spectacular. Notably, Kung Fu is primarily a way to achieve internal balance, not just a system of combat techniques. Jackie's characters often have difficult relationships with those around them, and Kung Fu serves them as a tool to find harmony with the world. Jackie Chan is one of several pseudonyms created for the foreign audience. His real name is Chan Kong-sang, so the actor's entire filmography can be seen as a kind of self-commentary on his career, creating a comfortable stage alter ego. Just like his characters, some of whom are also named Jackie, we know hardly less about him than about the actor's life.
I'm Jackie.
I know you.
Situations that befall Jackie's characters reveal their almost best dialogues, and the character of his heroes, for the most part, conveys the fighting style. Many of them are loners, forced to confront a group of opponents who, unlike in old Kung Fu movies, attack together, not individually. And Jackie's character's positions are less advantageous. Jackie rarely uses firearms, preferring fists and anything at hand. Plates, bicycles, chairs. His characters seldom initiate attacks, mainly defending, blocking opponents' blows, and utilizing the non-obvious advantages of the surrounding space. The action in the films mainly unfolds in cities, and Jackie, in his confrontation with enemies, often uses urban space and architecture not as intended. To some extent, placing ordinary spaces in a new context to achieve an unexpected effect is also an influence of silent comedy. The fight is structurally organized simply, following the principle of a short story, with exposition showing opponents and the location a twist. The beginning of the fight, a turn that changes the balance of power, and a resolution. Although Jackie Chan continues to appear in action films, in recent decades, due to age, he has begun to appear more frequently in dramatic roles. At some point, it became clear that the charming commoner image no longer suited Jackie Chan, who had become a global celebrity. The trend for Kung Fu action films in the new millennium gradually faded. Today, they look like a nostalgic greeting from the past. Since Jackie started appearing more frequently in Hollywood cinema, films with him began to lose inventiveness. And now, he sometimes appears not as a full-fledged author, controlling all stages of production, but as an invited star whose face can adorn a poster. However, this will not affect his contribution to the history of cinema. Jackie Chan's merit is that he managed to reconcile American cinema with the traditions of Chinese spectacle, inventing a new universal language that is understood without unnecessary explanations anywhere in the world. For several generations of viewers, Jackie Chan has become one of the main heroes. Always teaching that anyone is capable of a small feat, the main thing is not to give up.